They moved under the water like shadows, silent, untracked, and unnervingly precise.
On a frigid night under the cover of darkness, a group of U.S. Navy SEALs boarded a submarine like this one.
20 North Korean submarines vanished from their coastal bases in a single night, setting off one of the most tense naval standoffs the Pacific has seen in decades. The U.S. Navy had watched North Korea posture before, but never like this. What followed was a dangerous underwater chase, a race of sonar and stealth, and a terrifying moment when the world was just one wrong ping away from a war nobody could control.
China's envoy to the United Nations is warning that ongoing tensions with North Korea could, quote, get out of control.
The alarm first came from satellite reconnaissance at 3:17 local time. Analysts noticed that multiple North Korean submarine pins had opened almost simultaneously. Infrared signatures showed rapid crew movement. Dockside power cables were being detached. Engines were warming. What began as a possible training mission quickly escalated when the first 3 subs slipped off radar entirely. Then 5 more. Then 10. By sunrise, all 20 submarines, a mix of diesel-electrics, Romeo-class hulls, Sangho coastal boats, and 2 of their prized Sinpo-class ballistic missile subs, had scattered into the darkness of the Yellow Sea and the Sea of Japan. The U.S. Navy called it what it was, a saturation attempt. If even one ballistic missile submarine slipped through the cracks, the consequences could be catastrophic. Within hours, the U.S. Pacific Fleet activated Operation Deep Sentinel. 2 Arleigh Burke-class destroyers, USS John S. McCain and USS Ralph Johnson, broke formation and accelerated toward the Korean peninsula. Behind them, the USS Illinois, a Virginia-class attack submarine equipped with the most advanced sonar suite in the world, began a sweep using low-frequency active sonar pulses powerful enough to shake the bones of anyone nearby. The tension rose immediately. North Korea had never pushed this many subs into the water at once. Their fleet wasn't technologically advanced, but this many small, shallow-running diesel boats could overwhelm even the best anti-submarine warfare systems. U.S. officers compared it to trying to find 20 quiet motorcycles in a thunderstorm. But North Korea wasn't done. At 9:45, the Korean People's Navy released a footage clip showing crews boarding subs, engines humming, flags waving. State media called it a historic confrontation with imperialist aggression. To U.S. intelligence, the broadcast was an unmistakable signal. North Korea wanted the world to know they were making a move. The U.S. Navy prepared for the worst. While the destroyers moved into the area, dozens of P-8A Poseidon aircraft took off from Okinawa and Misawa, creating a massive airborne search grid. Their mission: track, shadow, and if needed, lock onto each submarine before it got within firing range of anything valuable: shipping lanes, bases, or Allied territory. Poseidons can detect a submarine by the sound of a single turning propeller blade. But they weren't dealing with one, they were dealing with 20. By midday, the first contact was made. Sonar buoys scattered across the sea picked up faint signatures, metallic vibrations, the unmistakable hum of a diesel engine struggling against currents. The USS John S. McCain locked onto a Sangho-class boat trying to slip toward Japanese waters. For 10 excruciating minutes, the U.S. destroyer tracked the sub silently, waiting to see if it would surface or turn back. It didn't. Instead, it dived even deeper, pushing into a thermocline where sonar becomes distorted. That move told U.S. commanders everything they needed to know. This wasn't training. This was deliberate evasion. Across the sea, more signatures popped up. One Romeo-class submarine positioned itself dangerously close to commercial shipping routes. Another moved towards South Korean waters. A Sinpo-class sub vanished for nearly 4 hours, a terrifying window, considering it can carry a submarine-launched ballistic missile. The U.S. Navy escalated instantly. The USS Illinois dropped into attack posture. A swarm of MQ-4C Triton drones joined the search. P-8 aircraft executed radar sweeps every 12 minutes. Over 100 sonar buoys were released in a tight grid. Still, the submarines played a deadly game of hide-and-seek. For decades, North Korea relied on the same tactic: overwhelm the oceans with many small, outdated subs rather than a few modern ones. Diesel electrics, when running silent, can be incredibly hard to detect. Their low-tech engines sometimes make it harder for high-tech sonar systems to identify them. But then came the turning point. At 1452, AP-8 detected a Sinpo-class sub at periscope depth, far too close to the USS Ralph Johnson. The destroyer immediately switched to battle stations. Helicopters took off from the deck in under 30 seconds. The world held its breath as the destroyer released a pattern of sonar pulses designed to shock submarines into surfacing. And it worked. The Sinpo-class submarine abruptly pulled up. Its periscope broke the surface. The conning tower followed next. Whether outgunned, outmaneuvered, or out of options, the North Korean boat surfaced. U.S. helicopters hovered above it like hawks watching wounded prey. But the real shock came next. As the destroyer monitored the surrendering submarine, 6 more North Korean submarines surfaced across the region within the next hour. Not because they wanted to surrender, but because the U.S. Navy had systematically cornered them. Poseidon aircraft were forcing them up. Destroyers were boxing them in. The U.S. had turned the sea into a giant, inescapable cage. One Romeo-class sub tried to make a run for it, diving at full speed. The USS Illinois tracked it instantly and maneuvered into intercept position beneath it. Using nothing more than passive sonar, the Illinois followed the sub through underwater canyons until the Romeo exhausted its batteries and was forced to surface. That made 8 submarines accounted for. The remaining 12 were scattered but stressed. Some transmitted incomplete signals back to Pyongyang. Others drifted into shallow waters where they risked running aground. A few shut down engines entirely, hoping to vanish in underwater silence. But you can't hide 20 submarines forever. By nightfall, the US, South Korea, and Japan had all joined the chase, encircling the region with destroyers, frigates, and maritime patrol aircraft. The ocean became a vast chessboard, and North Korea was running out of moves. One by one, the submarines surfaced or were detected. 2 were escorted back to their ports under international watch. Several drifted without propulsion, forced up by pressure and lack of oxygen. A handful managed to sneak back into shallow coastal waters, but not before being firmly tagged by U.S. intelligence. And then came the final twist. At 23:20, North Korea issued a state broadcast declaring the mission a success, claiming their submarines demonstrated supremacy against U.S. aggression. But behind closed doors, intercepted communications revealed confusion, command breakdowns, and several subs reporting mechanical failures after being pushed to their limits. From the U.S. perspective, the operation was clear. North Korea had attempted a bold saturation challenge, but the U.S. Navy had dismantled it piece by piece without firing a single torpedo. By the end of the confrontation, 14 submarines were fully tracked and visually confirmed. For return to port under escort, 2 went missing temporarily but were later identified near coastal zones. 0 reached firing range of any U.S. or Allied target. The message was unmistakable. North Korea had tried to use numbers as leverage. The U.S. answered with coordination, technology, and overwhelming situational control. In the final hours, the USS Illinois surfaced quietly near the Korean peninsula. Crew members described the sea as unnervingly calm, as if it had exhaled after a day of panic. Above them, AP-8 circled in slow arcs, ensuring no return of hostile contacts. The Pacific had been tested, and it held. North Korea's submarine fleet returned to port battered, exposed, and humbled. The U.S. Navy walked away with a tactical victory that required precision, restraint, and flawless coordination across hundreds of miles of ocean. And though no shots were fired, everyone understood the real meaning of the operation. North Korea wanted a showdown. The U.S. Navy gave them an answer.